Okay, this is Mike Merlin Means, Merlin Public Media, and tonight we are talking shit with Merlin. And with us tonight is that's your cue.
Oh, Erin Timms from
What's
the
going
Calvin
on? From
uh
from where?
the Calvin Center in Youngstown, Ohio.
Youngstown, Ohio. I've heard of that place. Calvin Center. I've been there. I got the grand tour years ago.
Yeah, it's changing every day. Every day it
Good.
grows and something different happens. So yeah.
So let's start with that. Tell us about it.
All right. So I moved back in 2016. My brother owned it before me. It's a 28,108 square feet building.
Jeez.
So I have a gymnasium, a commercial kitchen, and a lot of space. So it was a former city school. It was built by an African American architect who came to the area in 1860. He built like 30 buildings in the area. He was a stone brick mason. And yeah, he was the architect listed at the time because they didn't really have trained architects. Um, and that he built it in 1877 is what the school documents sort of show. And some of the foundations and the building itself sort of indicate that early period. We have old gas lighting fixtures that you can still see evidence of. There's the old evidence of the boiler system, which somewhat functional, but yeah, converting this into a multi-purpose space and community space to do different events and things. We had a theater company here. Run it out to different people. Had a big celebration over the in the spring and try to do different things that get people together.
What type of events have you been doing historically?
Um, so dinners, I host different dinners. I eat primarily plant-based, and so that was part of it. Introducing people to different types of foods. I have a lean towards eating fresh and local and um, listening to what your body wants. So I have a pretty restrictive diet, but it's kind of counterculture here to talk about health.
Yeah.
So sort of pushing those ideas. And then um, we have a big celebration. I feel like if I talk about this, I might break some rules. We have a
There are
we
no
have a
rules.
okay.
I
We
told
have
you
a
the
May Day.
only two rules.
I know. So we have a May Day celebration every
Okay.
year. And so that celebrates Beltane
Mm-hmm.
and and we have a maypole and we'll do different talks. We had a mobile library, but it's to get different community groups involved. We have some environmental groups that were there and present. We had a lot of historical conversations and topics. And we deal with LGBTQ stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely things that affect our community and how to have open conversations about it and to create a space where everybody feels comfortable, hopefully.
Now, I
Yeah.
haven't been back there in a number of years.
Yeah.
How does the area relate to the LGBTQ plus community these days?
Yeah. I think in Youngstown it's always been a little bit more liberal in those areas. I mean, the community itself. Now we're surrounded by areas that are probably feel a little bit more nervous about things. Sometimes I gauge it based on my family and and how that trickles back to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you get that other conversation that you didn't expect. And um, I think a lot of people are confused. A lot of people don't understand. But so it's trans and these type of things that push boundaries with people that they're not ready to
Yeah.
reconcile for whatever reasons it might bring up in themselves, that fear or whatever. I mean, I number of things that people think, but uh, I have a number of people in my life who are trans, and so it does impact me on a personal level, to so having these conversations and trying to get people to just understand what it might be like for somebody who might be going through that or identify as such, and how that experience would be for them, just from a safety standpoint. I think is really interesting. But I think you can say, and I can say, in my lifetime, so much has changed so fast.
Yes.
And and I think those things are good conversations to be having, and that's amazing. But yeah, I think it's definitely challenging. Yeah. One of my friends travels the country back and forth, and so she did travel through Youngstown this past trip, but a lot of times when she's planning these trips, she chooses different ways to go to avoid certain states.
Uh-huh.
And that's just, and for safety concerns, but has to always be aware of her surroundings. And I think even as a woman, I mean, I'm a feisty 5'1.5" female who's pretty small in stature, but I don't have the same fear levels of being in an environment the way she does, and she's a 6-foot woman. So I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and it's because of the anger and confusion. I think for some people just don't know how to act, and some people react really strongly. But it's and yeah, it's hard, it's weird. I mean, so
I fully admit I don't understand it, but just because I don't understand something, I'm in no position to judge somebody. It's the simple rules. If it hurts no one, do it. I
yeah.
mean,
I've had a lot of different careers in my life, and I definitely always identified as a very masculine woman, from the just in my maybe in my how I carry myself or how I feel in a lot of situations. I was always identified more with men and felt more comfortable in certain places. But it's interesting because I would work at steel mills or these non-traditional feminine jobs, but even there we had interesting conversations about trans, because of a coworker of mine at a steel mill had married a trans woman, and lived in a tiny small town, south of Youngstown, which is very country like. And we had, like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would have the most fascinating conversations about what is gender, and like what would make somebody want to, change their sex, and I mean, this is like 1995. It's like,
way ahead of everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I mean, and I guess, like, I've said, probably if I had grown up in a different time, maybe I would have identified as trans, but even if you think about Native American cultures, they've identified, there's definitely an idea that there were four genders in a couple different Native American communities that identified that we are not one gender per se, and there are these people who might feel more comfortable in one type of world. I definitely feel more comfortable, doing male oriented jobs and hanging out with my bros, I guess. But I don't know, not necessarily, but yeah, it is interesting. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm conversation is heading in a different place than I
We should
planned,
go. We should get
and
away
I'm
from this.
loving
This is a
this.
hot topic. Like,
I'm
you'll get,
loving
yeah.
this. That's the thing I like about this show is I never know where it's going to go, and sometimes I'm pushing it, and sometimes I'm trying to catch up with it.
Yeah,
And
I think in Youngstown, trans is probably not as controversial, particularly at this space, because we had a drag show. We used to have a theater company here who did a lot of drag show stuff. And I think it's a community that very much has always been okay with this type of stuff. Like it was a more risque city. We had, lots of burlesque houses and
Mm,
weird things that were always, part of the mob mentality of Youngstown. So, but I think it's funny because pushing healthy things, like telling people they should eat better, or maybe like not put poison on their food, is probably more controversial in Youngstown, or cut back on
really?
your. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think it's and I think since COVID, I've realized how unhealthy we are.
Oh,
Like, I think like there are blue zones, these places where people live to be 100, probably where you're living at, right? Like,
not
and then
likely.
there's, yeah, well, I mean, and then there's places like Youngstown where it's like, I think it's I don't know if it's the overcast, but our diets are terrible. Um, Depression rates are higher. Um, we live out of a mentality, I think, of poverty and like always being stuck. And so, how do you create a regenerative attitude in a place that's been stuck for generations now? And how do you teach them to love themselves enough to like eat food that nourishes them and makes them feel good? I think most of us don't know how to feel good
Mm.
or
Or
what
how to
that would,
cook.
or how to cook. Yeah, exactly.
That is, I mean, yeah, you go to the grocery store and there's like, pre-diced onions and carrots and pre-diced watermelon and cantaloupe. And I'm like, learn to operate a knife. It's not hard. Cook. Um,
Yeah.
I know people that, will go out to eat a minimum of 2 meals a day, 7 days a week. And I'm just trying to tell them, look, the preservatives, the salt, the sugar, the garbage, and they're like, uh, I feel fine. It's what I want to do. And you can't, hold a gun to somebody's head and say, here, eat some lettuce. No, not iceberg. That stuff's a waste of time. Eat some lettuce.
Yeah. I and I think I haven't I mean I have had stopped having a lot of pushing people's boundaries on certain things, and I think you have to meet people somewhere where they're at. But yeah, just recognizing that what we eat definitely relates to our life and what we experience, how we feel, what diseases we encounter. And I'm not saying, I mean, my whole diet's changed a lot because of having autoimmune issues. Had I probably not had autoimmune issues, I probably would have continued to live that type of lifestyle where you eat out, or you're, yeah, just not being good to yourself. You're not listening
Yeah.
to what your body's saying. You're just saying, okay, well, I want to eat this stuff that makes me feel lethargic and
Yeah.
lazy and sad, but is super convenient and is at every event that I go to.
I,
Like,
I,
and
I, uh, just, we had a friend come through 3, 4 weeks ago, and she wanted to take us all out to dinner. And oh, I felt like shit the next day.
yeah,
But we both cook here. When my mother-in-law was still with us, we all cooked. I mean, we have what gardening you can do in the desert. We have lots of stuff. We got like 4 or 5 different kinds of melons growing out there right now because it's the hot time of the year. So a lot of stuff is saying, no, sorry, bye. Like the tomatoes, they're done.
yeah,
They just gave up. It was about a week ago, and just started watching them all just say, no, I ain't doing this shit no more. Sorry. But it's different gardening here, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's changing in Ohio all the time. So I mean, we just got through a 2 week dry spell, 3 week dry spell where it was, got the garden in. I just watered all the time, but
Hmm.
it's I do have some rain barrels set up to collect roof water,
Right.
and that, but I didn't have much in my tank starting the beginning of the year, and like last year was a swamp this time of year. You're like drowning. Your plants are drowning, and it's not warm enough.
Ah,
So, not your problem.
no, not our problem. Watering is just pretty much a given. Um, you don't necessarily water everything every day, but you do check everything every day.
Yeah.
And it occasionally rains. It rained a couple weeks ago for, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 hours. It was totally freaky. Um, but we gathered some rainwater. We watch, and we don't have systems set up. We just have a few things. We carry them in the right spot along the roof and just leave them there. And then, but yeah, not having rain in 3 weeks. My brother told me about that a couple of days ago. I'm like, so?
I know. I know, man. We were like, oh, it was like the ground was hard. It was so hard. It was, and I know you know.
Yeah,
I know
I
you
do.
know. But yeah, it was for us, it was just like, wow. But it's life, it's riding that wave wherever we're at, we're at. So gotta be
Yeah.
present in that moment and figure out what it needs.
And
Yeah.
see, I mean, we've been cooler lately. And by lately, I mean the last, like, maybe 18 months.
Okay.
Last summer, we did not hit 120 degrees once. Normally we've got at least 4 weeks.
Wow.
Um, this year it's, the end of June, and we're peaking out at about 104 today, which is like, nothing. I mean, just the gardens have been loving the temperatures. But it's like the other side of the whole global warming thing is we're not as warm
Yeah.
as we've been, the 20 some years I've been out here. Um, but we don't have water from the sky. We've got one little river, and that's the water, I mean, period. Anywhere near here for 100 or more miles in any direction. And we've been in a drought since I moved here. It's actually since before I moved here.
Yeah, I think they were saying it. Are you part of the mega drought? No, California isn't a mega drought. I think it's like 100-year drought. That's what they're saying. So it's
It's
like it lasts.
it's
Yeah,
it's definitely falling into the 100-year event thing. Lake Mead is
yeah,
really sad looking. You can see the evaporation lines on along the shore. Buildings and bodies and things are showing up that just
yeah,
disappeared. I mean, they had a run of finding bodies
yeah.
earlier.
I had some archaeologist friends of mine were they worked at Lake Mead, and then she ended up in Death Valley for a while, and I think she ended up leaving there eventually and moving on to a different job. But they were, yeah, that was a possibility. I was asked if I would be interested in working on Lake Mead for archaeology, and I was like, I'm not that tough. I don't think I could. I don't think I could take the heat. Desert archaeology is like you gotta know when to go. You gotta be early, and you gotta, yeah, hydrate.
Yeah,
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 but it
it's
was a lot of finding bodies. A lot that I think.
yeah,
And same with Death Valley was just usually finding remains somewhere of somebody getting lost.
mostly modern remains and not
Yeah, not historic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Death Valley, over the course of a year, average temperature, we are a little bit warmer than Death Valley. But they have much colder winters. So their summers are far more brutal than we are as a rule, but they have colder winters. So over the course of a year, we are warmer. But
yeah,
us in Lake Havasu City, which is the hottest city in the nation, over the course of a year. But yeah, all this fun out here, and one river to feed them all, and it's not doing well.
yeah.
You know, lawns. There's people here that have lawns. That most of that got shut down.
Yeah. I mean, it's just got to change the culture, right?
Yeah, you just
Or get,
plant desert native plants. Plant what
yeah,
grows here with little to no water over the course of the year and
yeah.
yet thrives. And there's a lot of it.
Yeah, if you need green, go for AstroTurf. I don't believe in it, but
No, no, no,
no,
no. Ew,
no,
no. What most
no.
people
Okay.
do is they buy dyed gravel.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I don't mind as long as it's like, yeah, I agree. I don't want toxic. Change the culture. Don't, yeah. Native plants are good. So do you have a permaculture thing going on there? Is there a big permaculture
No,
movement in
there
the
really isn't.
hmm,
There,
yeah. It's starting to trickle in here, so that's kind of nice. One of which is was your nephew.
yeah,
But
you guys met. That's cool.
yeah. And then we have a place that opened up. It's actually out in Hubbard. It's between Liberty and Hubbard. It was an old powder mill. It was a black powder mill that was a part of DuPont at one point in time. And they were it was Superior Powder Company at the end, but they were a subsidiary of DuPont, and so they went out, but they're on that property and they're doing a really cool permaculture um, farm.
Okay.
They're just getting started, so they're doing some plants, nursery, and then they also have places for people to stay. So there's Airbnbs and that kind of thing going on in like small little cabins.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done some really nice retention water filtration systems. So they're doing tires that they've recycled, but it's
Yep.
attached to yeah that whole system. They've got the rocket stoves and that type of stuff
Oh,
also set up. Yeah,
rocket
it's really
mass heaters.
fascinating. Yeah,
Those things are so amazing.
I
Put
know.
a
I
handful
know.
of twigs and heat a good sized house. And it's just kind of like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. And where you're at, I would imagine that's got to be. Is there some interest in that? Like, there's so much Adobe already naturally out there, right? Like, is that still the
Pretty
thing?
much everything is modern stick built crap
Concrete.
here.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
pave it, concrete it, cover it
Yeah.
with gravel and like the gravel, okay, yeah, it looks smooth and consistent. Then you're gonna have two problems. It's gonna get hot, and your gravel's going to hold that heat. And when it starts to cool down at night, it's going to give it back to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. If you get the plants, at least the plants cool things down a little
right.
bit.
And then,
It's like,
you start getting weeds in your gravel, and oh my God. And,
you
it's
got to
like,
spray. You got to spray. There's nature happening. No.
yeah. Well, and, there are solutions. If you want to spray and use a vinegar and water solution, if you're not in a hurry.
I know.
But,
What do you think about the vinegar borax solution? Do you think that's a thing? Like that's my latest my sister's, but borax is poison too, right? It's just
yeah,
poison from a long time ago. It's,
yeah,
yeah,
that works. And I've used it, but, I mean, we don't have much in the way of things growing where we don't want them here because if you don't put water there, nothing's going to grow. I mean, for the most part.
yeah.
And as long
So,
as this yard has been, gardened, I mean, if you water pretty much anywhere in the yard for a period of time, something's coming up. I mean, something was planted there 15 years ago, and but if you water consistently pretty much any area in my yard, something's going to start growing because it's seeds and we gather seeds from all of our stuff and they blow around but I mean
yeah,
we compost like demons and apparently it's not been getting hot enough to kill tomato seeds because if you use compost in a soil mix, you're going to have a tomato plant there. That's just or two or three. They just come up like, well, like weeds, but they give you tomatoes.
Volunteers.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Are you,
Yeah. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
So what kind of
Oh,
gardening
I
are
was
you doing?
vegetable and herb.
Hmm.
I'm experimenting with sorrel this year.
Oh, I've
So
heard good things.
yeah, I somebody gave me a bunch last year at the end of the year, and I used it in a couple sauces. It's got a lemony flavor, and then you can throw it in salads, so you can use it. And it's a powerful kind of spice herb, but it's good. And then lettuce, tomatoes, pumpkins. Did some zucchini, yellow squash, butternut squash. I'm using my wall. I don't have a lot of yard space,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna put everything once
Uh,
it gets big enough. It goes out of the garden plot
hmm.
and onto the wall, and see if I can make that happen. Um, Fennel, yeah,
Ah,
that's
yes.
I did some really good Japanese turnips, or these little baby Japanese turnips. They're
Okay.
delicious. Yeah, they're
Hmm.
amazing this year. So, and I'm about to plant some icicle radishes. I do a bunch of radishes, different things that I can't get around town that I like. And definitely can't get organic. So, if I'm growing it, it's good. I know what I put in it.
Hmm.
But and then I have leeks, and then I put a bunch
I
of stuff out.
love leeks.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
leeks are
geez.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to, I'm gonna need to do a dinner here soon because I planted a bunch of stuff out at on Joe's property as well. So I'm gonna need to like harvest and then have a giant dinner
Hmm.
to get rid of some stuff. But it's good. It keeps me busy, keeps me grounded. I like being in nature. It's a different experience than working in the building.
Yeah.
Most of the building is either construction or so the cooking and doing particularly some of the growing is good. I have garlic out there. My garlic's huge right now. It's ready
Oh,
to,
ours is long done for the year.
yeah.
This
I
is our first
have,
year doing it, and we were not pleased.
oh no.
We got enough to plant next year. There's a thing called desert hardening.
Okay.
A lot of things will adapt in a season or two to our soil and our environment, and we got some, but it was a bit of a disappointment. But we're ready for next year.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, I plant mine in October here, so it's cold when I plant it.
Hmm.
And then um yeah, it takes till like I'm probably going to harvest in probably early July is what I'm thinking. It's going to be ready. But I mean, you're right. I can't imagine trying to plant garlic in Arizona and seeing what it would react the same
Well,
way.
we make soil. I mean, ours is pretty much nutrient depleted here, everything out in, most of the wild. So, we compost everything we can, and we do mixes with compost and some dirt and oh, I can't remember which one. It's either vermiculite or perlite for water retention,
Hmm.
and then either cocoa coir, or there's another one for keeping water in the soil is important here if you want
Yeah,
to garden. But it's challenging, and you know the side to that is I can't afford to go out and buy a ton of garden soil and bring it
yeah,
in. So
yeah.
compost, compost, compost.
Yeah, I was trying to plant stuff in Belize, and that was an interesting experiment because it was like, and I was on an island, and so getting good dirt. And then, I had some things took, but it's the stuff that was native that could handle that type
Hmm.
of stuff. It's amazing. It was a mother's tongue, so the snake plant
Yeah, yeah.
that does great there. Somebody gave me some starts that worked out well. Um, there were a couple other things that worked that were more ornamental type of things, but Yeah, I really wanted to do papaya. Like I want a food forest. That's my ideal thing to create. Like if I could be in a tropical place and actually be able to plant all the things that I can't
Hmm.
do here.
And
Like,
we have some young papaya out in the back right now. By young,
ooh,
I mean about 5 inches tall. But we'll try almost anything that can be adapted, to grow here. And it's, well, you knew me years ago and expect me to be a gardener. I mean, it's like when you snuck up on me with, I'm an archaeologist. I'm like,
I
what?
know. I
What
know.
the heck happened?
I know. I know. I didn't even know. Yeah, just fell into it. Just
Yeah.
happened. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's what you're doing. Yeah, now I'm cooking. Like that's the other weird thing. But I don't know where that goes. I don't know how long that goes, but I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to at least the food aspects of it. I think it's an important thing to work on, because I think we do need to eat better. We do need to live better.
Yeah. We do need to
Yeah.
get off of each other's asses and go on and live our own life.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep saying we just need to get back to our humanity. Like if we could get past all the other bullshit, like
Yeah.
all of the differences, just
Yeah.
like, hey, you're a human, I'm a human. We both laugh, we both shit, we both do
Yeah.
the basic same things, right?
Hmm.
Like we are the same.
Yeah.
And then everything else, like the humanity of why we're here on this planet right now. See the light in you, I see the light in you, you see the
Hmm.
light in me,
Hmm.
all of that. Yeah, respect. That's all. That'd be great. I don't know.
Um,
Maybe we'll get there.
I
Maybe we'll get
maybe,
there. I mean, it
maybe.
starts with us. Just got to start loving ourselves, and then maybe we can love other people, and that's half of it usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I am. I guess just with the events over the last few years with me and my health, and I am not the hyper hopeful person I used to be. I discovered the concept of toxic positivity and realized that for a portion of my life at least, I was that. That was a big part of me. And yes, being positive, but there's a point after which when you start telling people that everything is wonderful and everything is perfect and they're starving, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So positive, yes, but cautiously positive. Well, a lot of that was, the terminal diagnosis that went away. That just kind of made me a bit dark. Okay, a lot dark.
Yeah.
But that's all gone. We don't have to deal with that shit anymore. And now I'll just live until I wear this thing out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think dealing with the medical, I'm very, very early on in dealing with doctors and all medicine. And I think when you go down that road, you realize how broken it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you see a doctor for what, 15 minutes maybe. They look at you. They have to limited amount of time, limited about amount of mind span that they can spend on your case.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think that for us who are living through it and going through it, you know,
Well,
um,
I guess I kind of lucked out in that. I don't have I don't see a doctor. I see a nurse practitioner. I saw her today. We talked about me for about 20 minutes and then we BS'd for about another 15 and then I went home. I mean, just, you know, gardens, chicken life, politics that we can talk to each other about because we won't kill each other here because we disagree with, the majority. Um, and my pulmonologist, I mean, the first time I saw him after all of my tests, my appointment was over an hour. I mean, he'd explained everything step by number, and I'm sitting there going, this is kind of weird.
It's
He's
good.
taking time with me. He's explaining. Well, he got mad. I mean, he got literally angry about my misdiagnosis and how
It's
long
good.
I lived with that. And he's like, I'm going to explain everything to you. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know I'm telling you the truth. Here are the numbers from your test. This is what this means. This is what we can do about it. But he was, and I, for many months, thought I did not tell him who the other doctor was. And then I realized that when they transferred my records, he knows exactly who I'm talking about. So here's me trying to be coy and not mention anybody's name. And yep, he already knows. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the medical professionals I see now, but well, we do a lot of tinctures. We make our own medicines as much as we possibly can. And it's wonderfully simple if you're patient.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think for myself, I know that by changing my diet and exercising and having a little bit more control and a strict involvement in my life, it's definitely changed my symptoms. It's completely changed how my my body reacts to
Mm-hmm.
the same environment.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say everything goes away, but I'm not having the flare-ups or the as much as I
Mm-hmm.
was before. So I can keep some of the symptoms at least in check.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, it's always interesting to see, what you're gonna get. And I don't know. I'm still pretty early in this where but getting in to see a rheumatologist and being told, okay, well we can get you in February of
Uh-huh.
2024, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay, great. Yeah, put me on that list. So
that's pretty common here. I just got
yeah.
a cardiac referral today because my pulmonologist insists that my heart is doing stuff it shouldn't ought to be doing. And I'm like what? He goes, well, you're skipping beats and your rhythm is irregular and so all right, I will go see the cardiologist. I will see what he has to say, and then I will find out what plants out there will help me, and then I'll start taking them.
Yeah.
White willow bark for pain. Are you familiar with kratom?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I have a couple friends of mine who were taking it for a while, and she was a little nervous about it, I think, after a while because she felt like it could become addictive. And so, but she had a lot of issues with fibromyalgia,
Mm,
and so I think it helped her, and and it gave her relief, and that's part of it for a lot of us who don't get relief from some of these symptoms. Um, but yeah, I was sauning almost every night over the winter. That was like a thing where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a sauna. Like, I guess I was doing probably about 5 nights a week.
mm,
I was doing a sauna, trying to do lymph massage to like move some of my junk out of my body.
mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
uh, helps.
we got into, well, more Juani than I, but we got into the whole gut biome thing.
Yeah, I'm there. I that's what I keep telling my doctor. I'm like, listen, it's my gut. Like I eat kraut a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
eat kimchi, those type
Oh
of
God, I
things.
love kimchi.
Yeah. Probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you do
'Cause
kombucha?
I need to do kombucha. Like I think I've made it out to be something that's difficult. And I know you keep saying it's not
It is
difficult.
not
Like I just need a
difficult.
mother.
You need a good SCOBY, good
Yeah.
mother, and then let it go.
Yeah.
And we had several months Our scobies crashed and died, and we don't know why. And so, take everything apart, sanitize it, and sterilize it with heat, and da 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 da. And we started doing again, and it's going great guns. And it's been, I don't know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I seriously feel the difference, and it's we're doing green tea, so it's
Yeah.
technically June and not kombucha.
Okay.
Um,
So is it black tea kombucha?
Kombucha is, to my understanding, made with black tea traditionally.
Okay.
But we do green, and I mean it's green tea and sugar, and let that SCOBY work its magic. And it's you look at it in the store, and it's like, $5 for a pint,
Yeah.
and and you're looking at that going, for 1 gallon, you have a cup of partially refined sugar and a tablespoon of tea, and you're done. Okay, your bottle doesn't cost that much more. Your shipping doesn't. You are just ripping people off. I mean, the stuff is inexpensive to make.
So I a couple months ago, I have to try it. I made an enzyme mix like with my leftover chai tea.
Okay.
Like so I it's pretty much the same thing. It's sugar and then it's the chai tea mix with like all the nuts and
Mm-hmm.
spices and all that, and then it's the bags. And so
Okay.
I had that, and it's been going for now. It's probably about ready because I did it. Yeah, so I'd say like probably give it about another 2 weeks, and it'll be
Mm-hmm.
ready. So I'll let you know. That one
Yeah.
I made specifically to try and drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was going to experiment with drinking some of my enzymes to see if that would like improve my health. But I was trying to pick ones that would be taste and flavors I'd like, but who knows?
Well, that's the. And Juanita and I have a completely different viewpoint on when the kombucha is done. She likes it still a little sweet. I like it with some pucker. I mean,
Yeah.
it's back when I was a drinker, my wines were all dry. I want my kombucha to be dry.
Yeah, I
And
like a dry kombucha. There's a guy in town who's a mushroom guy who used to work at like a health food store in town. And like I want him to teach this kombucha class at the building because he makes really good kombucha. Like it's
mm, mm,
yeah, it's almost like I would describe it as almost like a French cider. Kind of like
ooh,
not I
yeah,
mean like it's like a really dry, crisp and I think but I think he uses like a champagne, like I think he uses maybe a champagne yeast or something to start his. So I don't think it's a straight up kombucha either
okay. Well,
because it
invite him down to do a class, and you can watch,
yeah,
and everybody else can pay to learn.
that's that's right. Yeah. I mean, basically, I want to start making it, so it's my tutorial, and then I'll
Hmm.
invite friends and people to come and enjoy it too. But I
It's
do believe this stuff is so good for us, you know. And why are we spending a ridiculous amount of money at the stores on this stuff that, you know,
because people are buying pre-chopped watermelon and pre-chopped celery. I mean, that's why. I mean,
I
we
know, I
um
know. Are we lost?
gardening.
Is it
It,
over? I mean, I feel
yeah,
like we're just getting worse. But
it's uh, gardening skills, cooking skills. At the peak spring of COVID, there was a massive seed shortage.
yeah, I remember the seed shortage. I couldn't get seeds anywhere. Because like everybody was like, I'm gonna plant a garden because the world's coming to an end.
Hmm.
We need that back.
Yeah,
We need that like desire because the world is still coming to an end, folks. We
yeah.
just have a
No, it
little bit of
is.
time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not quite as fast as we once thought, but it's dying,
it's
man.
it's dying, man. All plant some gardens, grow some trees, get out there. It's the solstice. Let's get out there and celebrate and enjoy it, man.
I
Let's
will
make it
be
work.
outside once we're done talking here. It'll probably be, it's probably dark already there then, isn't it? It's after
I
8.
I've still got the last bits of light here
Hmm.
going. So yeah,
Yeah, it's I'll get outside and I've got to I still have to feed the chickens and then put them to bed. And I mean, these pampered little shits. I mean, we have one, and even the rest of the chickens know that, well, she's our favorite. We're not hiding it. But she just got through being broody maybe 2 days ago. And, we would, okay, it's time for, the evening feed, which is fermented seeds. We feed them fermented seeds at night. Um, we would go get her, pick her ass up off the nest box, carry her out to the seed. Here you go, eat. So she stopped doing that 2 days ago, but now she does what she used to do. They all have this perch they sleep on. So when I let them out, the first two are in front of the door and they run out and go. And she sits on the end of the perch going, pick me up and put me on the ground. Come on, I'm a princess chicken. You got to pick me up. And so I do. Pick her up, put her down, on the ground, and then she wanders over to where we feed them. But yeah, no, they're not spoiled. Not at all. Well, and our one girl is 9.
oh wow,
She's a 9-year-old chicken, and when you talk about the slaughterhouses at 6 months, they're gone.
yeah,
I mean, but and ours are just, I mean, they're pampered. Okay, they're pampered. Um, we don't eat them. We like the eggs.
yeah,
Once you get to fresh eggs, the other stuff is just like ew.
yeah,
But and I don't even know how I got on chickens, but those girls, they're my day. They wake me up in the middle of the day. We feed them again, and then their evening meal, and put them to bed. And at that point in time, I'm winding down for the night, and I might spend a little bit of time doing some research, and then I'm off to bed. But
hey,
chicken clock.
Mike, I'm so happy this ended up your life. This is great.
I know. Who would have
I
thought?
really like this is
Who
the
would have
best
ever
life you
thought
could have
me?
lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. That's great.
And you know, Juanita
Chickens.
still puts up with me after all these years, and it amazes me yet that she still puts up with my shit. Um, now I've got a pretty good life, and it is nowhere near where I ever thought I was going to end up. And
That's the most amazing thing about life, though.
I just got sent here, and yeah, it's kind of and with my health, I mean, if I was still back there with my lungs in the shape they're in, it'd be fairly miserable. It would be
Yeah.
fairly miserable. But the good news is once I get balanced on my CPAP, I can travel again.
Yes.
I can go to local events, but I can go back and visit my mom.
Yeah.
Mom is in O'Brien's and has been. She has either Alzheimer's or dementia.
Oh.
And she's just kind of getting into the I don't want to eat, I don't want to drink angry phase, which
Oh.
is quite a ways down the road. But through this whole journey, I haven't been able to get back there.
Yeah.
And my brother is one hell of a person. He just picked up everything and is running with it, and working full time and still doing the sports broadcasting and driving back and forth to Grove City for the Grove City College football, and he's just been running this. I mean, they reached a point where the house had to be sold because, well, there's no more money.
Yeah.
So the house has been sold, and Mark took care of all of that, and he stepped up, and I sitting here, I can't help him. There's nothing I can do. I can't go.
Yeah.
So maybe now I'll get to see her, before the eventual end. But I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. But everybody tells me that this is a miracle machine and it'll give me back my life. And I'm like, okay, I'll
So
try
has
it.
it come yet? Has it, you're still waiting on it, or?
I pick it up in Kingman, the 27th. I guess there was the company that my insurance company deals with locally, um, they ran out of machines and seriously ran out. And there was a shortage, and then they had to order and get them in, and then there's this backup of people waiting to get the machine because you can't just the compressor, you turn it on, you dial it up to what you need, and but this has to be set up a little more. They got to fit it to my face,
Yeah.
and it's got to be programmed for pressure and everything else, and so
Yeah, they do have to check. I know my dad's been on it for years. So my dad and my brother both have had CPAP machines, and but it's good to have it. It definitely, helps helps my dad. My dad couldn't sleep. He couldn't do anything if he doesn't. He gets cranky and things get bad when he doesn't have his machine. He had to go to a full face mask though. He was doing the half mask and then it was starting to leave marks and uncomfortable, but they made some adjustments. But yeah. And they tried changing his machine last year and he went through a lot of problems when they were like making
Mm,
it like so I mean it is and he was like could somebody gave him one so he was trying to use a friend's for a while and it was like that didn't work.
mm.
Yeah, it's just but
Well, I'll let you know in a few weeks, and
yeah, I hope it
how
works.
um it, I can't see you doing any harm. And when I first started doing it, like my friends are like, "You're going to have to cut off your beard." And I'm like, "I don't think so. No, no, you got to cut off your beard. You got to do that before you have your sleep test." And I'm like, "No." So I called them, and they're like, "No, no, that's fine. Just don't worry about it. You don't have to cut it off. The mask will be fit well, and just do whatever it is you do before you go to bed." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" They're like, "Yeah, whatever it is you do." I'm like, "I might be doing some things you might not like." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, I use a THC tincture. Bring that shit along." And I'm like, "Exactly." And I'm like, "Okay, man." So, my doctors know I use tinctures for THC, and we make them, and nothing has helped me as much as that.
Yeah. So what do you use? Like a glycerin for
Okay.
that?
We do, I say Juanita does, I help. I'm basically labor for so many things. Um, with the tincture, you cover it in alcohol
Yeah. Okay,
and
you use alcohol as your base.
put a lid on it, and for the first week or so you shake it every time you go past it. And then we also do a glyceride,
Mm-hmm.
which is the same process but in organic vegetable glycerin.
Yeah, I've used glycerin for some. I was on something that was restricting my alcohol for a while because I don't know. I react to alcohol like even a little. So, but I was on a diet that said okay, no alcohol whatsoever, and so I did glycerin, and it worked out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, one of the neat things is, let me see if I can remember this correctly. If you take your flour and you do a tincture first, and then you take it out and let it dry, you can do a glycerin off of the same bud.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah, leave it to the old penny pinching hippies to get the last drop out of that stuff.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Ohio, are you wreck or you're just,
No, we're just, but you can get, I haven't applied for medicinal in Ohio. I had a medicinal card in Rhode Island,
mhm,
but I was just leaving when I got it.
yeah.
So, and it was for medical. They didn't, Rhode Island didn't go rec yet. And Ohio, I don't know. Maybe they have, maybe Rhode Island has gone recreational since I left, but they weren't when I was there. And every once in a while, I'll still get stuff for my marijuana card there. They've been
Mhm.
sending me emails, which just makes me sad. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Ohio is a weird state. I don't know why we don't have recreational yet. I assume that it might be on the ballot this year. I hope it is. But there is a lot of money going into dispensaries for, medicinal.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens. It's a conservative state in a lot of ways on these things. So
It's a
it's the,
conservative state. I mean, and that's not the state I left
I
20
know
some
it's not,
years ago. I'm like,
no, it's
I'm watching
changed.
Ohio politics and I'm going, okay, we got to
Uh,
get up in politics. As soon as I
we got
get
to
done
get
with
up to
this little
politics.
rant, it's
I
not the
know.
state I left
It's
politically.
not the state I left. It's
Yeah.
not the state I left either. And coming home has been, that's part of it too, is it's so different. I feel sometimes like an alien here.
Mhm.
Like, I
Mhm.
mean, it's just like I left stranger in a strange land, I
Mhm.
left and now I'm back. Like and it feels weird. It feels weird being in a place that I used to be so proud of, and just to recognize maybe as an adult, it's not the same place. Maybe it never was. Maybe that was an illusion, as much of our life is.
It, it, it,
So
it's very possible, but it's, what I read and what I hear is not what um I saw and lived when I was back there.
yeah,
But yeah, like we're gonna start going down that rabbit hole, and I'm
we'll
gonna
go down it. Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna
I know,
we
I know, I know. This whole week I was like, okay, can you not talk about those two things that we can't talk about? And I'm like, oh, I think I can. I think I can. I
it's
think I can.
it's a challenge. It
It
is
is
a
a challenge.
challenge, and I get close to tripping up like right now.
Yeah.
Depending on there's just certain people that are on here that I'm like, I really got to watch, and I knew you were one of them. I
I know,
know.
because I feel like every Denny's conversation we
Yeah,
ever had
I
probably
know.
went to those two subjects.
Yeah,
Like we could just talk mysticism, but then it's still skirting
yeah.
that
It's
thing.
it's kind of it's
We can
kind of
talk
close.
nature. We're
You
still
know,
skirting that thing.
yeah. It's and maybe I'm going to branch out. I mean,
Well,
I want to
I
do
don't.
more things with Merlin Public Media again. The first round I had, a 24/7 radio station, and I set myself up. Okay, you've got this much money to make it work, and it didn't happen. So now I'm just going with the podcasting, and I'll be live streaming on YouTube probably within the week, which will be nice. And also, some people will not. I love it. So you're going to edit this, right? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, I said shit. Well, no, I'm not fucking editing you saying shit. I had a guy on, good friend of mine, um, extraordinary cameraman, extraordinary editor, and his kids kept coming up and looking at the camera and talking to him, and they're playing in the background, and he's like, "Is this fine?" I'm like, "It's life."
Yeah.
I just Let's just present stuff as it happens. I I don't edit. It's what goes down, and that's the show. And so far, no one's been too pissed off, and The nice thing now with Zoom is you have to acknowledge that I'm recording before I can record.
Yeah.
So no one can ever say, you didn't tell me you were recording. Wait, you sat down in front of your camera and your microphone on your computer and you didn't realize I'm recording. Bullshit. But nonetheless, that's one of the benefits to Zoom is you have to acknowledge it and I don't have to worry about it.
Yep. Papers are signed.
Yeah, it doesn't go forward. And golly, we could talk for years.
I know, I
I think
know.
we already did
We
talk for
probably
years a
have.
few times.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I
Wow.
what?
Oh yeah, just checking this. Yeah, I was gonna say we did go by. An hour has gone by. I was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that did go by fast.
it tends to. So before we kind of wrap up, do you want to plug any upcoming events? Do you want to tell people how to find out about the Kelvin Center? Do you want to do any of that fun stuff? Because hey, advertise.
Sure, I should advertise more. Yeah, you could check us out on Facebook, Calvin Center for the Arts. Um, we have roller derby every Friday night. That's a
What?
thing now. Yeah, roller derby is now using my gym for practice.
Oh my
Six,
God.
yes. So 6 to 9 on Friday nights. Um, and we're talking about having a roller derby prom, which might happen for a fundraiser for them.
Ooh.
So we're gonna have roller skates and prom at the Calvin Center, which will come in October. Um, that's about it. I mean, sometimes my life is construction and getting things ready. So I'm doing a big change at the building. So I'm going through permitting processes with the
Mm,
county to get this turned to residential and doing Airbnbs and having various tenants. But yeah, so that's happening. I'm getting my gym back. So I'm starting it as a banquet center. So if you have a wedding or event, you can rent my gym. Yeah, and a commercial kitchen and everything else. So we have catering services. Yeah, and I am looking to start doing healthy meals. So anybody interested, we have yoga classes here usually in the spring, um, 1 night a week, and in the fall. Yeah, so spring, fall, and summer they actually go to the gardens. So they're in Mill Creek Park. But we have vegetarian dinners coming up probably also in the fall.
mhm,
So once a month. They're also right now enjoying picnic space outside because everybody in Youngstown likes to get out and enjoy the summer.
mhm.
And so that's the big thing. But yeah, that's about it. So I'm staying busy. I got new windows this week. I got
Ooh.
87 windows installed this week
Oh
in
my
just the
God.
in just the front half of the building
Uh-huh.
and not including the basement. So like or the third floor because the third floor was done 2 years ago. So but it's great. So the building's getting a little facelift.
That's
And
great.
so it is good.
It's a
We need it.
process.
It's a process. And we got a grant from the city for $20,000, which is amazing for the
Hmm.
facade program. So that'll
Hmm.
cover some of the windows. But yeah, it's good. I feel like things are progressing, even if it sometimes feels like a snail's pace. But we're
Well,
getting there.
as long as you're still going forward and you haven't stopped, then it's all good.
Yeah, I think I don't stop till I die. I think
There
at
you
this
go.
point. Yeah,
There
it's
you
like you
go.
just keep moving and then you eventually get there. And yeah, and I feel like it's my path, and until my path changes, this is what it seems to be. Wow, I
Hmm.
didn't even know that. I don't know, is that my camera doing that? That's weird.
It's got to be because I'm not doing it. How can I control your camera? That's
I don't
trippy.
know.
It's
That's
been
super trippy.
it
What is
hasn't
that
been
doing?
moving that much, but it has been moving through the conversation. But this is like just wild.
Wow. Whoa.
You're gonna have to
Okay.
pull out the user's manual and find out
I
what the
know.
hell that
I don't
is.
know. I don't know. That's trippy.
That
Wow,
that
that's weird.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah. we I guess that stuff happens.
There are historical quote guests in your building.
I
So
don't know. They might not approve of this conversation, or they're just letting us know they're present. I don't know.
I don't know,
But
but yeah,
yeah, that was really weird. And
that
now it
was
stopped.
yeah, that was trippy. Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
they
that's
got her
so
attention and
strange.
now they're like, okay, go on and do what you're doing. Uh,
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever that was.
oh, it's been quite a pleasure. I do enjoy
uh,
talking to you and I do miss talking to you, and
I know.
we do need to do
Uh,
this more
we
often.
did. Okay, I agree.
All right.
Mike, thank you for being a great teacher.
Oh,
Always.
thank you.
Yeah.
There he goes
Well,
again.
it did it again. I don't know what that is.
Whatever it is, it approves, apparently.
Yeah, it likes gratitude. That's good.
Mhm. Well, let me know if any
All right,
more
Mike.
weird shit happens. I'm going to get off of here and get some air and chill and then go feed some chickens.
That sounds great. All
Okay.
right, Mike.
Okay.
Have a good night. Thanks
You
for
too.
having me.
Oh, you're
All right.
welcome.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.